Hello to all my interested investors out there. This is Don Crone, and you are watching my channel, Live Long and Profit. Today, I am turning my attention away from strictly investment analysis today to talk about a proposal that I think is important for the progress of our nation. There is a very interesting debate going on presently surrounding President Biden's infrastructure proposal. Since I consider myself to be a forward-thinking person, I have taken a real interest in this debate. I am going to examine this concept from a purely objective standpoint. The question that is being asked, very simply, is what constitutes infrastructure? Well, the formal definition of infrastructure is the basic physical systems of a business, region, or nation. Now, if you take this definition literally, you think of things like highways, bridges, dams, electrical grid, telecom services. And this has been the accepted definition of infrastructure since like the 1950s, when America began taking the subject of infrastructure seriously. However, as economic thinking has progressed, a new concept of infrastructure has emerged called soft infrastructure. Now, under this definition of infrastructure, it could also include things like schools, emergency services, recreational facilities, and law enforcement facilities. Naturally, people who continue to adhere to the traditional definition of infrastructure object to the inclusion of these other services, but I happen to agree with the more forward-thinking version of infrastructure because I believe we can take the traditional definition of infrastructure several steps further. And I think it's necessary to do that at this point in time. In order to explain myself, I would ask you to take a step back and think about what the role of government is. I'm sure a lot of people will roll their eyes when I even say this, but to think about the role of government in people's lives, if we can manage to keep a clear head, then I think a simple definition or explanation of the role of government in our daily life can be established, and that is to educate and to empower. Now, if government can accomplish these two objectives, and if you look at it just from that standpoint, then people are free to pursue their passions and reach their highest potential, which would obviously be a win-win for the entire nation. So if those are the objectives, then the expanded definition of infrastructure should include things like schools, nationwide broadband access, and a network of healthcare providers that can handle the responsibilities of caring for children and the elderly, allowing women at all professional levels to return to the workforce. Now, you all know, of course, that women have been much more highly impacted, forced to leave the workforce as a result of the pandemic. Now, if you want to say that this is a waste of money and that we are spending our way into perpetual debt, I would ask you to consider the alternative. Is anyone out there going to harbor illusions about the need in our educational systems and the need for our national broadband access? The two are inextricably intertwined. In my opinion, if we're ever going to make America great again, then we owe it to every single citizen to allow them to have access to high-speed internet. The fact that we have not done so already, to me, is a national disgrace. Is there anyone out there who's going to argue that the pandemic hasn't affected women's ability to work more than a man's ability to work? Is there anyone who's going to argue that women are a less effective part of the workforce than men? I'll take a deep breath and wait for that answer. Now, I didn't think so. The other point that has to be considered is the fact that the infrastructure bill being considered can't be seen merely as a spending project. One of the oldest adages on Wall Street is you have to spend money to make money. You don't have to be a genius to know what that means. Money spent in wise ways produces benefits far beyond the original amount. I don't think there's any doubt that implementation of the proposals in the present infrastructure bill would produce returns that would make it money spent wisely for years to come. Just today, I heard someone say that parts of what is being proposed should not be considered infrastructure, and therefore there should be separate bills to consider each of these projects. That, to me, is maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Okay, what do you think? Give Congress more time, and what do you think they're going to do? They're going to waste more time considering things, talking about it, trying to water it down. It will take years for them to get anything done, if they get anything done at all. We've been considering an infrastructure bill for how many years? I don't even know. It's got to be at least 5. No question, at least 5 years, probably more. Endorsement of this kind of thinking of separate consideration of each of these projects is simply a method to obstruct the progress of the bill for political reasons. Now, this is something I have said for years. Educate and empower a broader swath of the population, and you'll see an unprecedented explosion of innovation and productivity. Bold action produces bold results. It's that simple. Thinking must evolve. Thinking must evolve, or it inevitably decays. We should adopt a 21st century definition of infrastructure to move the nation forward and prepare it for the challenges that lie ahead. The past year has shown us that we are nowhere near as prepared as we thought we were. What do you think? Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell to be notified of further posts. I'd love to hear from anyone out there. This is Don. Live long and profit. Have a great day. I wish you peace, love, and prosperity.